way home, not just them, but they're part of a longer native phrase. If you ever look it up, you might see something like smelly onion, stinky skunk, or even just simply, wow, this river smells bad. Now I find this beautiful. Do this. This one's kind of funny, but it is easy to mention because you just let the wind blow through the building to reduce pressure. Keep it within the sway you desire. Okay. Now that building, like many of our new tall buildings in Chicago, are very high-end buildings. It is multi-use hotel and residential. The penthouse up there was sold for $20.5 million to me. Thank you so much. All right, over here on the left-hand side, our next building is also wavy. Behind that triangle in that box, wavy white balconies running down the side of a blue glass building. Aqua. Aqua is also designed by Jeannie Gang. Nice thing about this tour, I get to start off with Jeannie Gang. Now that is a little bit older, 2009, but that building was also the tallest building in the world, designed by a woman for about a decade until she passed it with her own building. She does have 1 and 2, gold and silver, running up the score. Now that building, the balconies are all completely unique from one another, all mathematically different, emulating the striated rock we see around the area in the Great Lakes area. These really cool rock formations you'll find in areas like Stark Rock, which is a state park around here. All right, that's Jeannie Gang. Let's move over here to the right. See that building with the yellow onion up at the top? Intercontinental Hotel, 1929. I'm not going to talk about the onion. We've talked about onions enough. Do you see behind the onion there's a chimney? Now, I think that looks really silly. I still do, especially if you see it from the east-west view. But the reason why they did that is because they wanted the chimney to double as a place where people could park their blimps. You know, like they thought blimp travel, Zeppelins were going to be the next big thing, which I can't totally blame them, but I will say, no blimp ever landed at the top of that building, yet. But it is a bit of a reminder of what they thought the city might look like with blimps flying around. All right, up here in front of us, DuSable Bridge. You remember that name from earlier? That's the very first Chicago, first non-native settler. I mentioned his name. Yes, this is where I would like to point out this beautiful white building coming up on the right with the clock tower for a particular idea. You live up top, you have your car valet park view down below. But also inside of this complex, you have your laundromat, your daycare, your movie theater, your ice skating rink, your bowling alley, your bar, your boat, your restaurants, your supermarket, your gym, everything you need to live a full Chicago life. Now, this is the first mixed-use residential skyscraper in the nation. Goldberg, very smart man. He thought of himself more as a social scientist first recently, which is why we see a lot of brand new architecture popping up around areas like Wolf Point. I will talk a lot about the relationship with our river today. That's a nice little view of the L up there on the bridge as well. Alright, passing by the L, which is on public transit, I want to talk about that building with the really skinny base up there, 150 North Riverside. It's got about a 40-foot wide base structure, just about the width of our boat, which I would definitely call abnormal. It is the only way they can make something here, okay? On the back side of that bridge, they couldn't put any foundation into the ground because that is where the Metro and Amtrak train lines run down below. Actually, all along the right-hand side, but in particular behind that building. Now, they couldn't put anything down on the front side of the building, not because of train lines. The city now requires brand new buildings along the river to have a 30-foot setback. Remember, we are changing the way we use the Chicago River. It means you are not allowed to build a building on the river, with a few exceptions. We do have this snaking building up here, bubbly glass, exposed concrete, River City. 1986. If it looks a little familiar to your eyes, it's because we've already talked about this. Chicago fire sweeps across the city, starting on our southwest side, jumping over the river twice, going all the way up the north side, way up by Lincoln Park, by the time it burns out. The Great Chicago Fire burned over the course of 3 calendar days, left 100,000 people homeless, 300 people were killed. I do like to talk about the fire just to remind you that everything we talk about is because of this story. The fire burned down the city. We had to start again and do it better the second time. This is not our first city, our second city. Like a phoenix rising out of the ashes, there's a great deal of resilience to Chicago. Since then, they've been cleaning up the river and reintroducing natural wildlife. There's a real concerted effort for this. A lot of nonprofits working on it still today. All up and down the Chicago River, lots of different ways to revitalize the river. Nowadays, you are allowed to fish in the river, and swimming in the river is even occasionally allowed. 2 months ago, we had our first official swim in 98 years. I was very excited. I woke up at 6 in the morning on a Sunday, and I came down here. I wasn't even working. I just wanted to see it. I wanted to see if anybody came out with 3 arms mostly, but they didn't, and I thought that was pretty cool. We have come a long way with this river. I have a lot of pride in that, and I hope that you stay out next to it as you can. We do have a beautiful river walk on the right. It's cold, but still nice to walk. On the right-hand side, you see this building with 55 at the top. 55 West Wacker. I think it is probably our best example of what we call brutalism. Very popular style. Brutalism sounds really heavy metal, but it's actually heavy concrete. Concrete. That's what that means.